Welcome back. First of all, hook 'em, go Longhorns. But before I get into this video and I talk about Texas and Vanderbilt, I want to talk about a few things because it needs to be said. The first thing is Texas absolutely positively did not dominate the Big 12. Texas knows how to lose. This Texas team has not been good for about 14 years, 12 years, depending on how you view 8-4 and 11-1. So we absolutely positively know how to lose. So just because we lost a game doesn't mean anything. It means now we get to see who this team is. So I just want to clear up that first thing. The second thing is, why is it an issue that you want me to trash a team that has just lost one game of the season? We lost a game of the season. We got dominated. We got taken care of. We got handled. I want to see how we come out in this game. I think what happens is because we're a reactionary society and just because something happens one day, that means the end of the world is coming the next day. That's not how I view sports. That's not how I view life. That's not how I view anything. So when my team loses a game, when I see behavior from a team that I haven't seen previously in that offensive line and quite frankly, just the whole offense not being able to score points, I'm not going to bash them because that's not a proof of concept. I need a proof of concept. I need things to happen multiple times before I will go on a tirade about what I just saw. So that is thing number two. The third thing is the SEC is wide open. Teams are losing. Everybody in the SEC now has a loss. So this isn't your SEC as in the past where there's always one dominant team that never loses during the season. The SEC is wide open. So for those of you that are like, oh my God, panic, it's not time to panic. It is time to dig in. This is the time in life where it gets hard and you don't know if you're going to be able to pay your bills and you're struggling and you don't know and you have to make some really good decisions and you have to decide if you're going to stick it out and hunker down and do the work. That is what this is. It is time to do the freaking work. So Texas needs to lock in and do the freaking work. Number 4, we know the SEC is tough. We know the SEC is tough, and that is why we wanted in. We wanted in for this competition. We wanted in to be challenged. We wanted in to have opportunity to get bigger recruits. We wanted in to bring something to the table. We wanted this competition. We asked for this competition. We know the SEC is tough. Nobody has ever said the SEC isn't tough. So for those of you that are like, oh, this is the SEC now, this is big boy ball. We know. That's why we wanted to come in. We know how this works. Also, we know how this works because we went from number 1 to number 5. You want to know why? Because losing a game in the SEC means more than losing to a team that's not in the SEC. We know that. That's why we're here. When you lose a game the way we lost a game and then you only go to 5 instead of going to 7 or 8, what would happen in the Big 12? We get it. We know what we're doing. We know what's going on here. We totally understand what's happening in the SEC. So stop acting like Texas fans don't know that we're in the SEC. We're in the SEC. We wanted to be here. We wanted this. This is what we wanted. We don't run away from competition. We came into this conference ready for the competition. The fifth and final thing I'll say, and this is going to be very petty, if you're not Alabama, LSU, Georgia, or Auburn, teams that have won championships in the last, 10, 15 years, don't welcome us to the SEC. Don't welcome us to say it's just different here. It's just different. We're different. We're bad. Because you haven't done anything either. So if you're an Alabama fan, if you're a Georgia fan, if you're an LSU fan, if you're an Auburn fan, welcome us to the SEC. I get that. But if you are not somebody that is from those 4 schools, don't welcome us. We don't want your welcome. You haven't done shit in this division. You haven't done shit in this conference. So we don't need you to welcome us into something that you haven't done well yourself. We're here. Texas wanted to be in the SEC. Texas wanted to play better competition. Texas wanted to be challenged. Texas wanted to have all of the SEC privileges. And so what comes with SEC privileges is all the competition as well. So we're here. We're ready to show up. This is what we're supposed to do. Like, I think some of you don't understand what rising up and facing challenges and heading into competition looks like. You're seeing that with the Texas Longhorns. Texas has decided that they wanted to be in the SEC. We all knew that came with more competition. And so here we are, ready to face the competition. So I am going to get off this soapbox. So let me get into this Texas Vanderbilt matchup because obviously I'm fired up. So one thing I've seen about this Vanderbilt team is this Vanderbilt team is balanced. They don't do anything exceptionally well per se. I don't want to say that they're going to have specific athletes that are going to pop up on screen and you're going to have to game plan about, you're going to have to be focused on. But what they do is they play consistent, focused football. And consistent, focused football is sometimes very hard to beat because you have to play really well. Vanderbilt, in my opinion, has been winning off of getting turnovers and creating things for their team, and which is great. That is a marking of how you want to win games, right? You want to create turnovers, but nothing Vandy does where I'm setting up and I'm like, okay, we got to watch out for this. We got to watch out for this. This is going to come down to how Texas plays and can Texas be disciplined. Coming off of that Georgia game and also coming off that Oklahoma game, Texas is starting super slow right now. And so if Texas comes out and starts slow against Vandy, we're going to have issues because Vandy hasn't been starting slow. That's one advantage that they've had lately is they haven't been starting slow. They've been doing well on third down. And so if Texas comes out and starts very slow and starts this game doing the crap that they've been doing the past couple of weeks, we could be in trouble. And so these are this kind of the things that I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about this Vanderbilt game. I think it will be interesting to see how Texas comes out after a loss, after you quite frankly got embarrassed at home. Let's see how you travel and go to the road against a hot team, against a team that is winning games that people are shocked they're winning. So having said all of that, let me get to the 3 things I'm going to be focused on for this game. First thing should come as no surprise. How do we bounce back from this loss? But specifically, how does that offensive line and how does this offense bounce back from a loss? So when you come off of a game where you just don't look good, nothing's clicking, the offensive calling doesn't look good, you can't score points, you can't move the ball, you're turning over the ball, it just doesn't look good. How do you come back the very next week? I am on record as saying it quite frankly has looked bad. I thought it looked bad against Oklahoma. Obviously it looked bad against Georgia. So now this is the 3rd week. So this is going to be Ewer's 3rd week back from an injury. So we'll see what that looks like. This offensive line also has something to prove. So I'm very curious to see how this offensive line shows up against Vanderbilt. Does this offensive line show up how it's been showing up before they played Georgia, or what offensive line are we going to get? Also, I would love if we could not get a false start penalty on this offensive line. But anyways, the first thing I'm going to be focused on is this offense, specifically the offensive line and quarterback. What does it look like? How do we come out? Can we score points in the first quarter? That would be ideal. Can we score points at the beginning of this game and continue to score points as this game goes? That's going to be very important to see. The second thing is when I looked at the stats for this quarterback, because I've been trying to look at like how Vanderbilt is winning. That's going to be very important for me is going to be, can Texas's defense create turnovers? If Texas's defense can create turnovers, I think we're on the right track because Vanderbilt has not been giving the ball over. And so if Texas is able to create turnovers on defense, I think we're going to be in good position. However, Vanderbilt has not been turning the ball over. They have been really good at ball control. They've been really good at just doing, like I said before, the little methodical things to win games. They're winning games because they have been the more disciplined and the more consistent team. And whenever you're consistent and you're disciplined, chances are you're going to win a lot of football games if the team you're playing isn't consistent and isn't disciplined. If you think about the teams that Vanderbilt has won, they have turned over the team. They turned over Alabama. Believe they got a pick 6. They also turned over Kentucky. So the games that they're winning and the games that they're really surprising people is because they're able to get turnovers. That defense is creating turnovers, and that is causing them to win these games. So I'm very curious to see if Texas's defense can get any turnovers, and God help us if we can get turnovers and hopefully those result into points. But can Texas get turnovers? So my number 2 thing is going to be turnovers for this game against Vanderbilt. My very last thing, which should come as no surprise if you take a second to think about any way Vanderbilt has won any of these games, time of possession. Vanderbilt has dominated the time of possession in the games that they have won, and it hasn't even been close. I'm talking about 10 minutes, 15 minutes that they have dominated. I believe in the Alabama game, it was like 42 minutes Vanderbilt to like 17 minutes Alabama. They're absolutely dominating the time of possession. And what it means to me when you're dominating the time of possession is that you're playing very disciplined football. You're consistent. Your running backs are getting 3 and 4 yards. Your quarterback is doing what they need to do. They're also very efficient on third down. And so you can't be efficient on third down and not have a high time of possession, and vice versa. Usually when you have a high time of possession, you are usually great on third down. And so I am very curious to see what this time of possession looks like for Vanderbilt heading into this Texas game, because I think that's going to be a determining factor. So just to recap, what does this offensive line look like? How do they bounce back? Can the offense score? Second of all, can Texas defense get turnovers against this Vanderbilt team that hasn't been turning the ball over? And the thing number 3 is time of possession. Texas has to find a way to at least dominate the time of possession, or at least make it to where it's a close time of possession. Because overall, Vanderbilt they're just playing some really sound football. Based off of what I saw from Texas and based off of what I believe this defense to be, because I do believe that we have a good defense. Isn't it funny that me saying that at the beginning, I was so worried and now I'm like, we have a good defense. I believe in this defense. I think this defense looks good. I think they're hungry. I think they're pissed off based off what happened. So I look for them to get a couple of turnovers. If not one, definitely two. Or if not, I guess I should have said if not two, definitely one. So I'm looking for Texas to show up this game. I'm looking for them to show me who they said they were, because I want to believe them. I want to believe the Georgia game is not who Texas is. I want to believe that Texas has a great offensive line and that Texas's offense can move the ball down the field and score points. I don't know what Texas team is going to show up, but I'm hoping we see the team that wants to move points, move the ball down the field. So having said all that, I'm rolling with Texas. I'm rolling with my Longhorns. If we get beat by Vanderbilt, we will have deserved to get beat by Vanderbilt. So it just kind of is what it is at this point. I'm very curious though to see this game because like I said before, you got punched in the mouth. I'm curious to see how you get back up. Do you have a plan now that everything wasn't working the way you thought it was going to go? So we'll see what happens in this game. It should be a good one. I hate to say it. A lot of people probably won't be able to see it because it's going to be on the SEC network. And I don't understand how they determine what games are going to be on the SEC network or not. They don't even give you ratings for the SEC network. Quite frankly, the SEC network is a joke. I think the SEC network is a joke, but you're not here to hear me talk about the SEC network. So anyways, I will end this video here, as I always say, hook 'em.